Officer safety is real. Cops get hurt, cops get ambushed, traffic stops can go sideways, and people lie. People hide weapons, and people also make terrible decisions in real time. So yes, officer safety matters, but officer safety is not a blank check. It cannot become some magic phrase that justifies everything an officer wants to do. It cannot be used to erase constitutional rights. It cannot be used to skip professionalism. And it definitely cannot be used to turn every uncomfortable situation into a threat. I've been doing this since 2006. As a patrol supervisor, I've seen both sides. As an officer, I've seen both sides. I've seen officers deal with real danger. And I've also seen safety language get stretched further than it should. That's the gray area. Because the truth is, officer safety matters, rights matter, public trust matters, and good policing requires all three. I get it. I understand why some people roll their eyes when I start talking about officer safety. Because to my other cops out there, when they hear this, what they start to really think is, oh, here we go. My rights are about to disappear. The cop said the magic words, now anything goes. If we're going to be honest, there's been many times that phrase has been way too loose. Sometimes officer safety gets used when officer safety isn't the issue. Not really anyways. It's control, it's convenience, it's ego. Holy cow, is it ego? It's frustration. So officers don't like to be questioned. It's officers not liking being recorded, which I don't understand these days. And the real perception is it's officers not liking somebody knowing their rights. And that's where the trust starts to break. Because to me, and citizens tell me if I'm wrong, but from a citizen's point of view, they may not see a legitimate safety concern. They may just see a cop using vague language just to push an encounter further. And sometimes they're not wrong to question that. Officer safety should mean something specific. It should not and it cannot be a catch-all phrase, especially for examples like, I didn't like their attitude. I wanted more control. I felt disrespected. Or the big one, they weren't doing exactly what I wanted fast enough. It's not good enough because when the government has authority over people, the explanation has to be better than because I said so. But here's the other side. Officer safety is not fake. And I think some people talk about it like it's an excuse that cops make just because they're scared. If we're going to be genuine about this, we have to admit that that's not reality either. When an officer walks up to a car, they don't know who they're dealing with. They don't know if the person's late for work or if that person just robbed somebody. They don't know if they're calm. They don't know if they're about to run. They don't know if there's a weapon in the car. They don't know if there's a warrant. Stay with me, but they don't know if that person already decided, I'm not going back to jail. That uncertainty is real. And uncertainty is where danger lives. It doesn't mean everybody is a criminal. It also doesn't mean that everybody's a threat. But it does mean officers are constantly making decisions with incomplete information. And when you work in that environment long enough, you understand why officers are as cautious as they are. You understand why hands matter. You understand why sudden movements make me nervous. You understand why reaching under a seat's probably not a good idea either. And maybe you'll understand why walking up to a car at night feels a lot different than watching it on your phone or your computer later on. So the issue is not, does officer safety matter? Of course it matters. I think the better question is, when is the safety concern specific enough to justify what the officer's doing? Where officer safety starts to go wrong is when it's vague. If the only explanation is because I felt unsafe, it's not enough by itself. We need to learn the articulation side. Why did you feel unsafe? When did you feel unsafe? What did they do? What did you see? What was the behavior or the context? What specific facts made you believe this person was a danger? Because there's a huge difference between I seen him reaching under the seat after I told him to stop and I didn't like his attitude. Those are not the same things. There's a huge difference between she kept reaching towards her waistband and she asked me why I stopped her. Or this person matched a specific description of a violent crime and or this person was nervous. Specific facts matter. Behavior matters. Context matters. One of my biggest ones, your articulation definitely matters. Not vibes, not ego, not annoyance, not generalized fear. Officer safety needs to be tied to something real, something more explainable, something more than my spidey senses went off and I just didn't like the way it felt. Because if we let officer safety become too broad, anything becomes officer safety. A person recording you, officer safety. A person asking you questions, officer safety. A person refusing consent, officer safety. A person being rude, a person knowing the law, officer safety. And once everything becomes officer safety, it goes out the window and means nothing. Lawful carrying is one of the best examples of the gray area, and I kind of touched on it on our first episode, especially in a place like Texas where I'm at. If someone tells the officer, hey, just so you know, I'm legally carrying, The officer is obviously going to become more aware. That's normal, that's safety, and that's tactical. I don't think any reasonable person expects an officer to hear that information and just act normal like nothing's going on. But to the point we're making, lawful carrying by itself should not raise suspicion. It doesn't make them become suspicious, especially in a state where lawful firearm carrying is normal, it's accepted. And this is where we need to be careful because we don't want to punish lawful honesty. The person who's legally carrying, the person that's up front, the one that really is trying to be respectful, sometimes they get treated more like a threat than the person that's actually trying to hide something. Officers, this should make us think, because a criminal with a gun is probably not going to announce it once you get to his window. The lawful citizen often is. So if an honest person is getting treated like they did something wrong just because they disclosed it, what message are we sending? And don't get me wrong, does that mean that we can never secure a firearm during a lawful traffic stop? No, of course not. Again, context, location, situation, all matter. The nature of the stop, how the person's behaving, it matters. The totality of the circumstances matter, but the mere fact that somebody is legally carrying cannot be the end-all be-all. Lawful behavior should not automatically equal suspicion, and honesty should not automatically be punished. The dangerous part is when officer safety turns into control, and those are not always the same thing. Sometimes the officer's making legitimate safety decisions, and other times they're making decisions based on them feeling uncomfortable. Because they're being questioned, they're being recorded, the person ain't being friendly, they know their rights, the person isn't giving them the emotional compliance they want. And suddenly it becomes officer safety. But not every uncomfortable interaction is unsafe. Person being rude, person recording does not automatically make them dangerous. When they're asking questions or they're refusing consent, that does not make them dangerous. If they're nervous or they just don't like cops, that doesn't automatically make them dangerous. This is where professionalism matters. Because anybody can stay calm when a person's polite. That's easy. The real test, that's staying professional when people are difficult. The best officers I've seen, they can stay tactically aware without becoming emotionally reactive. That's skill, safety without ego, caution without overreach, command presence without it turning into some sort of dominance contest. Because sometimes the question officers need to ask themselves is, am I reacting to danger or am I reacting to disrespect? Those two are completely different things. But citizens, you have to be honest too. Some people talk about officer safety like it's completely fake. They love these. They'll say roofers have a more dangerous job. Loggers, commercial fishermen, barbers all have more dangerous jobs. Police aren't even in the top 10 most dangerous jobs. Okay, I get it. Statistically, yes, there are more dangerous jobs. You got no argument from me. But that comparison misses the point. The danger in policing isn't just workplace accidents. It's conflict. It's enforcement. It's emotion. It's authority. It's people who may not want to go to jail. It's people in crisis. It's people who may be armed. It's people having the worst moments in their life, making bad decisions under stress. A roofer has a dangerous job, but a roofer is not usually walking up to a car after pulling an unknown person over at 2 a.m. Logger also has a dangerous job, but a logger is not responding to a domestic violence call of a situation that has built up over the last 20 years and expected to solve it in the next 5 to 10 minutes. A commercial fisherman definitely has a dangerous job, especially those deadliest catch crab fishermen. If they're not showing up to possibly take somebody's freedom away, it doesn't make cops better than anybody. Definitely doesn't mean rights disappear, but it does mean the safety conversation is different. So if your argument is officer safety should never be used as an excuse to violate somebody's rights, I agree completely. But more specifically, if your argument is officer safety should never be a concern, that's not serious. Both things can be true. Officer safety can be real and be misused. That's the gray area. So the answer can't be officer safety beats everything, but it also can't be that officer safety never matters. The answer has to be specific facts, reasonable decisions, proportionality, restraint, and professionalism. Before an officer pushes an encounter further, they should be able to explain why. They should be able to explain, what am I worried about? What facts support this concern? What behavior am I seeing? What is the least intrusive way to handle this safely? Am I reacting to an actual threat or am I reacting because I feel challenged? Will this help the situation or will this escalate it? Those questions matter because officer safety and constitutional rights are not supposed to be enemies. Good policing requires both. If we use officer safety to erase rights, we lose public trust. If we pretend officer safety is fake, we ignore reality. The balance is hard, but that's the job. That's the responsibility that comes with authority. This is why discretion matters so much. Good policing isn't just about being safe. It's not about just being legally covered. It's not about just winning the interaction. Good policing is judgment. It's knowing when to slow down, knowing when to explain, knowing when to be cautious, knowing when to back off and when to act, and knowing the difference between danger and discomfort. That might be the biggest takeaway. Danger and discomfort are not the same. A person being rude is not the same as a person being dangerous. A person knowing the rights is not the same as a person being a threat. A person lawfully carrying is not automatically a criminal, and a person trying to record you is not automatically trying to hurt you. But officers still have to survive the encounter too. So the goal cannot be rights with no safety, and it cannot be safety with no rights. It has to be both. Officer safety matters, constitutional rights matter, public trust matters. And the best officers understand that professionalism lives in the tension between all three. So I'm curious, what do you think? Where's the line? Where does officer safety justify extra caution? When does it become overreach? And for the cops watching this, what facts do you think should be required before pushing an encounter further? To civilians watching this, what officer safety concerns do you think are legitimate? Because if we're going to have this conversation honestly, both sides have to answer hard questions. Officer safety matters, rights matter. The gray area is trying to figure out how to protect both.
You're watching DTV, The Donut.